What is up, Funsie listeners? Welcome back. No Ben tonight, but we are joined by a guest,
Sadness.
Mr. Bobby Brown, aka Cool Daddy Slick Breeze.
Cool
Bobby, what is up?
Daddy Slick Breeze.
Dude, it's nice to have you. I mean, I think a lot of people in disc golf know who you are, but honestly, equally at this point, there's probably a lot of people that are hearing others talk about you, and they're like, "Who is this guy? Like, what's the deal?" Like,
Yeah.
so it'll be nice to like dive into some of those things because transparently, like, I don't know like how you started and things like that.
Yeah. No, yeah, I totally get it. I got a bunch of messages when they announced that I was back. A lot of people are like, man, it's so good to be back. And then I got a couple of DMs that were people like, I don't even know who you are, but I see a lot of people like you, so I'm excited for Dynamic Disc. So that's all cool. I love it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Give us the elevator pitch. Who
Okay.
are you? Where'd you come from?
Wow, okay.
The
Elevator
typical
pitch. So-
every podcast where you
Yeah.
gotta start.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. So back in 2009 is when I was introduced to disc golf, and back then I knew I wanted to do something in media. I just wasn't sure what, but I loved creating content and filming. And at the time, I was creating internal training videos at a credit union I worked at. I had talked my boss into letting me buy a few cameras and create some of those training videos, and then even talked my CEO into creating an internal podcast. And literally, I told them I knew what I was doing. Literally was YouTubing everything as I was doing it. So it was like just training myself how to do all this, but it was fun, so much fun. So then in 2009, I was introduced to Jim Taylor, who was the father of Jeremy Taylor, a good friend of mine. And he was going to have an event at his course in Pawhuska. He has two courses there, two amazing courses. And it ended up being the Green Country Doubles, which was an NT for the PDGA. And so I actually met like Eric McCabe, Eula Berry, Paul Macbeth, all Nico when they were like young and just starting out on their disc golf career. I didn't even know who they were. I just knew they were pro players that traveled, and they were all seemed cool to me. But I was doing video coverage for the Green Country Doubles, or not Green Country Doubles, Green Country Open, and I met some of the PDJ people, and I just started doing disc golf media from there. And I will fight anybody, but I believe I had the first live disc golf broadcast back in 2009.
No way.
I had the back of my Expedition at the time. I had a desktop computer hooked up to my camera, and then I had a 100-foot Ethernet cable going to the house, into the router, into the house.
Wow.
And I was parked where I could only get 2 holes, but I was broadcasting live. I don't remember. I think maybe it was Ustream back in the day. And I remember we had 200 people watching, and I'm like sitting in the back of my Expedition just filming everything. And I remember a guy from Australia said, "I can't believe I'm watching live disc golf." And I was like, "I'm hooked. I gotta do this for a living. I want to do it for a living." But I was doing it part-time. And then shortly after, I met Jeremy Rusko. He was doing a Dynamic Discs event, and I thought, man, I love Dynamic Discs. They were like a party atmosphere at their tournament events. And I was like, I want to get connected to them. So I talked to him, and I said, "Hey, do you think you'd find value in me taking photos and doing videos at your events?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure. Come to Emporia anytime you want." So a couple weeks later, I found out there was an event going on. And I told my wife at the time, I said, "I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go seek my dream." I drove out to Emporia, which was about a 3-hour drive. I didn't want to spend money on a hotel, so I slept in my car, woke up the next day, met Jeremy. He was like, "Whoa, you actually came out." And I said, "Yeah, I'm here." So I took a bunch of pictures, did some video stuff. And then later on, I found out that was the Glass Blown Open, the event that turned into a huge event. So that's always been my milestone of my disc golf media journey. So there, I worked part-time until 2014, got hired full-time. I think I was one of the first officially only social media person in disc golf.
Wow.
And I remember when I first, I know I keep rambling, but when I first started talking to Jeremy about doing it, he was a little concerned that there wasn't enough work for me to do in social media. So he was like, "Would you mind if you had to like stock discs or pull orders until we had enough work for you?" And I'm like, "Oh, dude, I'll do whatever. Just let me do this." And so went full force. Ended up having a team of 4 people by the end of all of it. And so that was 2014. did the whole dynamic disc thing, started their YouTube channel, started their Instagram, their Facebook was already going, built it up to about a little over 300,000 followers all across all the platforms.
Wow.
And then in 2021, in 2020, I'd gone through a divorce, went through a bunch of emotional roller coaster stuff. And then in 2021, I decided I needed to step away, get back to Oklahoma, and get back close to family. So I did that, and then worked with Clash Discs a little bit, helped them with their social media. That didn't quite work out how I wanted to work out, and then ended up getting a job at Shields. Worked my way up to marketing director for Tulsa Shields. And then just literally a month ago, David Berglund of Latitude 64 of House of Discs reached out and said, we'd like to have you back at Dynamic Discs. And I couldn't believe it. So there was a 4-year hiatus, in a sense, from disc golf. And now I'm back. And as you can tell by me just rambling, I am pumped. And I have been loving every minute of it.
Oh.
Yeah, David Berglund's the literal CEO, right? He's the head.
Yeah, he's the CEO of House of Discs. Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty. I'm sure that's flattering
That's
to
legit.
have the literal CEO of pretty much 5 disc golf manufacturers reach out and be like, "Hey, come back here, please."
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, it was interesting because I was at Tulsa Shields and I was like, "This is it. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my career." And I was getting ready to go to the gym, and I looked at my phone and I saw an email that said David Berglund would like to chat and catch up. And I was like, "Oh, okay." So we got on a video call. And he talked to me a little bit about what was going on in his life. Because we had worked together back in the day. And I caught him up on what's going on in my life. And then I was like, I just said it. I was like, David, if you're reaching back out to me because there's a possibility of me coming back to Dynamic Discs, I want to talk about it. I said, because Dynamic Discs, watching what was happening was like watching one of my kids go astray and lose their voice. And I was like, I don't want to see that happen. And so I want back. So about a week later, we figured it all out, and here I am.
Oof. Yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit on your podcast, but when I was down there filming my Glass Blown Open video, I was walking through the warehouse getting a warehouse tour, and I see Bobby rolling around on like a desk chair with his little hoverboard trying to film some clip. And I say like, hey, introduce myself, talk to him a little bit. And then we keep doing our warehouse tour. And then like, as we're walking out, he was like, hey man, saw you here. Don't tell anyone that I was here. Like, this is, like news isn't official. Like, I'm not here. And I was like, okay, you're not here. Like, don't worry about it. I won't say anything. But I was going to follow up and ask, I mean, you mentioned in your story of getting into disc golf that Glass Blown Open was a big deal for you. Do you find it poetic at all that when you kind of started back up this second time around that Glass Blown Open kind of kicked it off again?
Well, what was interesting is that when like we had come to an agreement and they gave me a job offer and I was like, I'll do it. They were like, well, can you come to the Glass Blown Open and do some media for it? I'm like, man, I can't leave Tulsa Shields like that. I got to give them at least a 2 weeks notice. I don't want to burn any bridges or, whatever, and leave my team just hanging like that. So I said, I can come to the block party that weekend and I don't know that we want to make an announcement yet because not everybody knew about it. And then as I was saying, I was like, wait, this is the first year they brought back GBO, and now I'm coming back to GBO. So I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Kind of like Renaissance, of like, wait, we changed to DDO and, things, and Bobby's gone and things have kind of gone a little bit downhill, but now let's bring back GBO and let's bring back Bobby. Like, can we find that momentum that we sort of lost? You know? So I think that's a really cool, I don't know. I don't even know if you could call it a coincidence, but it seems a little bit too poetic for a lack of a better term.
Yeah, no, I get it. It kind of goes along to one of the, I guess, mottos or way of thinking I go by, which is you are exactly where you're supposed to be, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
well
and
said. Why I tell myself that is because that means that even when at Tulsa Shields, like it wasn't wasn't sure if it would be the end all for my career, but it was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. So I'm going to put my all into it.
Totally.
And then it's just kind of like, to me, that's the serendipity of just putting forth your best all the time, no matter the situation, and it'll all work out for you. And this is a perfect example of that.
That's awesome. Yeah, hopefully a lot of listeners take something away from you saying that. So with a lot to unpack here, I think we'll start back towards the beginning. In a time where there wasn't really media going on in disc golf, or at least like a social media presence, let's say, what made you start doing that when that no one else, like, that wasn't necessarily the standard?
Yeah. In disc golf or in general?
I meant for disc golf, but yeah, if it differed in general, then yeah.
Well, what I loved about social media or media in general, and what got me going, and then what I brought to disc golf was that I always wanted to do media. In fact, one time I wanted to be an actor. I actually bought a book that said how to go to Hollywood and become an actor. So
that's awesome.
It spelled out the whole thing. Yeah. So when it came to like Facebook and YouTube coming around, I realized that I don't have to wait to go to Hollywood to produce that content and be creative. I don't have to wait for a producer to say, yes, we'll greenlight that project and we'll make it for you. I could make it myself, put it out there, and then get feedback, and either I suck or it's good. And so that was what motivated me to get into social media, and that's what I love about social media. How that worked in disc golf was, like you said, there wasn't a whole lot out there. So I was like, you know what? I could kind of set some precedents. I could actually be a driving force for better disc golf media, because there was some at the time. There were like DVDs, and there was, I don't know if you guys know Billy Crump. Do you guys know the name Billy Crump?
I'm sure some listeners are going to roast us in the comments for not knowing this.
Yes, they are. Yes. So he used to have DVDs called Clash of the Titans, and he would have some of the big names meet somewhere, and they would play disc golf at different courses, and he would film it. And it would be like what you see now on YouTube, but these guys, these young top pros would meet up and have a Clash of the Titans, he called it. And I remember watching that going, I could do something like that. And even when I started, around the time I started, Joe Mez actually kind of got his start as well. So I knew that there was some lacking in media for disc golf, and I was just like, I'm just going to try everything and do everything and see what happens.
Well, in hindsight, it seems like it kind of worked, because I've heard even Hunter from Foundation reference that a lot of things like you guys did, like you'd go around like the warehouse. They're like, what's new in the warehouse was directly inspired by what you did through DD. Or I think they do like a mailbag thing that I know that's something that you guys did before. So because you kind of, it does, like, not to take your thunder away from you, it seems you essentially have set the standard of what is expected in modern disc golf media. Would you agree with me saying that? And what steps do you feel like you took to, let me see, because I just want to try to repeat how I said this.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Would you agree that you've played a key role in that creation? And what steps do you think contributed to that?
Yes, without sounding big-headed, yes, I do believe, looking back, self-awareness, I can say that there was a lot of things that I started, a lot of things that I did that I saw other companies repeat. Now, I'm not naive to think that I just came in at a great time where there wasn't a lot of that. A lot of the big companies, the Discraft and the Innova, they just weren't doing it. A lot of times people, and I'm not picking on any company, they're all great companies, but a lot of times they felt out of touch. They felt like the big corporate old guys that didn't know how to grow the sport or how to touch and connect with the young guys. And so I thought, well, social media is how people are going to communicate. That's how they're going to network and get information out. So we're just going to tell our story. And that's always been the thing, is, telling our story. And so I just used the different ways of, practice rounds. In the Mind, I had an In the Mind series where I would mic up a player while they were playing, and we would listen to what their thoughts. Or I would film their entire round, and then they'd sit down at a laptop, and then they would just kind of talk us through their round, what was going on in their mind, and that was kind of In the Mind. Then we had, practice rounds. Then we had casual round, where it was just kind of, that was a Casey Neistat influence, where it was really cool music, really nice drone shots, and then I would walk around and just ask them questions about why they made a certain decision, why they threw a certain disc. But then it would be kind of dressed up with cool, trendy hip-hop music. I love hip-hop music, you can tell by the music I put in there. But no, yeah, that was kind of my driving force, was that these bigger companies felt like they didn't know how to talk to the people. How do we do that? We use social media, and we literally just talk to the camera, talk to the people like, you're my best friend, you're my guy. I want you to fall in love with disc golf like we have and come join our journey.
Yeah, no, I feel like something we talk about on the podcast a lot is how it feels like some of these media giants, or not media giants, manufacturing giants, you can't, like, they're untouchable.
Right.
Like Innova and Discraft, to put it bluntly, I think are well, MVP is stepping in there now too, but I feel like they're the three biggest right now. And MVP has kind of grown so much because of Simon and Eagle and having those personalities. But in terms of like Discraft and Innova, like they have personalities, but the personalities aren't like super duper tied to those brands. And, for me at least, looking at Innova, I think if they don't shape up soon, they're gonna lose their dominance. Like I think
Yeah.
Discraft will probably be fine because of Paul and Brody, and like they have a lot of personalities. And MVP Simon, Simon is gonna be Simon, and they'll be fine forever.
Yeah.
But like Innova, they need to get with the program, in my opinion, and I really think that doing like dynamic bringing you back, I think, is a very good move because you're kind of like the intermediary between the public and the brand. And so I'm an engineer full time by day, and something that we run into a lot is as engineers we're designing stuff, and sometimes that'll take a long time, and then we have the people we kind of report to on deadlines and stuff like that, and they're the business side of the thing. Like they talk to the government and they sell our contracts and stuff. And we need someone that's in between that is like understands the technical side but understands the business side as well, because it's so crucial for us to be like, hey, it's going to take us 3 months to do this.
Right.
And the people on the business side are like, hey, you guys can have this in 2 weeks, right?
Right.
And there needs to be someone in the middle that's like, okay, you guys can do a little quicker than 3 months, but you can't, like 2 weeks is way too accelerated a timeline.
Yeah.
And, I think there's a big parallel in that where by having you in this space, people can kind of attach to your personality, and you can share things from DD's perspective. And, we talked on the podcast a lot about how, like, sometimes it's hard to feel attached to a new disc release and, like, want to buy it because there's so much out there already.
Yeah.
But by having you can tell the story of why you guys released the heist, or why you designed the heist, how the heist was designed, and what it was intended to be used for, and all this stuff that really, I think, helps sell a disc and make people understand the heart behind it. And it's less of like they just designed a new disc so they can make more money.
Right.
And like, yeah, there's obviously a factor of that, but there's also a lot more that goes into it. Like, you guys are planning discs. I'm sure you have discs in the works that are 4 years out, and so I think bringing you back was a really smart move. And yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but that's my thoughts on
okay.
that. Do you agree, or?
I agree. It was a smart move bringing me back. Yes.
Yeah, well, true. That makes sense.
Perfect.
No, you're right. That's our approach. Now, some company, not every company pulls back the veil and shows you what's going on, but that's kind of been it was how I started it, how I started doing it. So I think that's what the people that liked to have a connection with a brand, because it creates loyalty, it creates an emotional connection. That was what it's all about, is connecting with the people. And I love talking to people, and so that just came out in the content I produce. And so, yeah, it kind of became our thing. Our thing, it was transparency. Our thing was, we're growing the sport. Come join our journey. We're growing the sport. Help support us. We're growing the sport. Come say hi at a tournament. Send your questions in the Disc Golf Answer Man, and we'll help you, get better at your game. And so we became that buddy, that friend that wants to help you do better.
Yeah, I kind of have a question.
Yeah.
Going off of what we were just talking about, where you kind of set the standard for the sport. You talked about practice rounds and casual rounds and what's in the warehouse and the Disc Golf Answer Man podcast. And personally, I think that still has a lot of value, but I almost wonder, like, I feel like since you've been gone, I feel like content has evolved a little bit and changed over the 4 years, or it kind of honestly started maybe changing before then. I was going to ask you, I've seen a little bit of what you've brought back and started doing. Is there anything specific that you are trying to implement that's going to be different than what you did before? I'm sure you're going to bring back a lot of stuff you used to do, but are there any new series or new styles, or is there a new thought process, or just maybe a reinvigorated, modified version of your old thought process with the way that content kind of, like, short form content was not a big deal back in 2019, 2020. And now it's almost half of it. I don't know. I'd almost say it's half of it. And so, and then also the format of a long form video, it has to be pretty like boom, 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 and title and thumbnail are everything. And you got to have a good 30-second intro that's like kind of synopsis of what's going to happen. Like, this is a very long-winded question, but I think maybe you understand what I'm getting at.
No, the good thing is that even though I left disc golf, I did not leave social media and content creation. You know, I did it freelancing for a while. I did some social media management and helped with some content creation for Whale Sacks, for Disc Golf Strong, for Idio Sports, and then of course Clash Disc. And then when I moved to Tulsa Shields, I started out as social media, became the social media lead. So I was the one coming up with the campaigns and what we're going to talk about. Then the marketing director, I was still involved heavily in the social media. So my point with that is that I was still a student of the social media game. I was still learning. I'm still watching to see what trends are out there. So that, to answer your question, is my strategy or my game plan is to bring back the things that people are like, because like as soon as I announced, it was like Disc Golf Answer Man, Disc Golf Answer Man. So I was like, okay, we're going to do that. Then I saw a few people say After Hours at the Warehouse, and I'm like, well, that was fun. I love doing that because I can be my goofy self. But the difference is I went back and I looked at some old ones and I thought, man, the pacing is like just not there. It's fun. I'm having fun, but now, compared to watching videos now, the pacing, back then the pacing was probably pretty good. Now it's not good. So now it's like, okay, now I got to add the pacing that I appreciate and have seen with other videos with that. And then now as I'm creating it, I'm thinking, can I make 2 reels or 3 reels from this? What can be a reel? What can I shorten down to about 15 seconds or 30 seconds? So my process when I'm doing it is a little bit different. And then even in some of like the Is This Disc Right For You, where it was literally, first it was me and Eric, and then it was me and some guests, and then it was Eric and some people, and then it became me, Anthony, and Eric, and it was 3 different levels. I went back and watched some of those, and I was like, man, that was great information, but it's a little dry compared to what's happening now. So now it's like, okay, let's add a challenge to the end. Let's have me throw it and Eric throw it. And just like the last one we put out with the heist, we did the thing. I threw it. I talked about how it threw. Eric threw it. He talked about it. And then the challenge was, okay, can I throw this farther than you, Eric? And you have to give me, you throw it, and then I throw it, we measure it, and then we give myself some more, I can get closer so that I can see if I can beat you. And then if you win, I'll do a break dance. So
great
like,
dance, by the way. I love it.
Yeah, thank you. So it's adding another layer to it, which is the challenges. Same thing. We just did a trilogy challenge with me, Jackie, and Eric. We filmed it. I got to edit that together, and we added a challenge at the end. We played 3 holes regular. We played 3 holes where we chose the disc they had to throw, and then the last one was more of a trick shot. We had to figure out trick shots for each other. And then the loser had to buy everybody ice cream. So adding a challenge to it, which I know is really big everywhere. I even see like Foundation does an amazing job of challenges. So it's just taking they do a ton. It's taking things that I know worked in the past and just giving them a little bit different style, a little bit different vibe to see how they work. Anything that's like brand new, I have some ideas, but I haven't really I want to see what's working and what's out there more. Like I know we had Willett Heiser, So one thought I had was, I wrote it down. I was going to call it what if. And I was going to pick certain items and say, what if we had to throw with square discs? And then, find something square and have fun with that. What if? And that came from, I think Marvel has a what if, like this, like what if the Marvel universe was all jacked up? So my thinking is, what if? What if we were putting on, chains that were made out of rope? I don't know, something that's just kind of different.
Those thumbnails would be very good.
I know, right?
Having a square disc, great, and then like a disc golf basket with rope chains. Literally, what you do for if you want the advice, I would say
go for it.
The square disc one, literally just your hand and the disc, and that is all that's there. And maybe it's blue sky behind it, or grass, or maybe the back of the warehouse. And then pretty much same thing for the chains. Like maybe you are on the rope chains, and then you putt, and then you just get a burst photo, and it's like the disc hitting the ropes,
and
it's just isolated, and just that is all it is. And then the title is "What if disc golf chains were ropes?"
Yeah,
what if
something?
What if?
But
dude, I love that. I think that's a great idea. I think you should totally.
Don't you take it?
That. I won't.
This is on record.
I won't.
No, stuff like that. So the different brainstorming ideas. I've been, looking at different, and I'm trying to get out of disc golf. Like I've watched a lot of disc golf stuff and got ideas, but now I need to go watch like pickleball, curling, bowling, trading cards, all that stuff. It's like, well, what are they doing? And that's what I did in the past. What are other people doing that I can apply to disc golf?
Okay, so it's like a conscious decision then, because you've had a couple instances where you've mentioned you like pulled references like Casey, or you mentioned Marvel. Are these like conscious things that you're doing, or you feel like they've just kind of accumulated over time of just like, oh yeah, well this did this?
It's kind of a combination of the two. It's more intentional. I like to say that I'm intentional. Just about, I would say 95% of stuff you see in my video is intentional. Now, sometimes there's that magic that happens as you're filming, of course, but most of it is intentional, right? And I'll use Jay Milley as an example, and I'm sure you were thinking as well, is that as I was telling you the ideas, you immediately thought, oh, the thumbnail should be this. It should be this. I'm doing that when I'm watching other shows. Oh, wait, what if we had a disc that did that? And it was, it's like I'm constantly thinking, how do I apply this to disc golf? And I'm listening to, different social media podcasts. Right now I'm listening to Infinite Games. Shout out to Hunter. He recommended that book. So I was like, I'm getting that audiobook. I'm listening to that. And how do we apply that to disc golf in the industry and social media? So yes, It's very intentional. When I'm thumbing through TikTok and I see something trendy, I'm like, how would I incorporate a basket and a disc into that?
Yeah.
Sometimes it works out. Sometimes it's stupid. So yeah.
Stupid's better in my opinion.
Yeah, at least you tried something, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned you can go, Josh.
No, you go ahead.
Well, you had mentioned before, Bobby, that the time that you had stepped away from DD, you essentially were watching what they were doing, and I mean, in my words, I guess, you said it kind of pained you. So how do you feel like DD has changed from when you kind of helped build it from the ground up to now working there modern day?
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody knows the venture capitalists, the house of discs happened, right? And yeah, there are some things that are, I guess you could say, maybe a black eye on what happened here, right? Things maybe weren't handled the best, right? But it's unfortunate that the timing of it all as well, because even though the venture capitalists came in and they had this whole conglomerate thing come in, it really was for the best, right? And they came in at a time when, during the pandemic, when things were going great, when you couldn't even find a disc because disc golf was just selling crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember before I left, we were like growing at 250% month over month. I mean, it was just crazy, right? And when that COVID bubble popped and things started declining, businesses had to make business decisions. It just so happened that we did it around a time that this house of disc came along. So I feel like became an easy target or an easy thing to point your finger at like, see, that's
Scapegoat,
why,
right.
yeah, the scapegoat. That's why things aren't going so well. Now, I'm not taking away the fact that after I left, the communication kind of went downhill, right? They didn't post as much videos. They didn't, do as much. Anthony and Danny did a fantastic job, but, some of their, the direction they were given was by people that weren't in disc golf. And so they didn't quite understand how the mind of a disc golfer works. And so, Danny and Anthony did their best with what they had. It just didn't work out. And so, yeah, I was watching from the sidelines. I read the Reddit post from our, what was the operations director. I read his post, and I was sad to hear all that stuff happening. And then I saw Anthony's video, and that tore my heart apart. I hired the guy. I'm the one that reached out and
really?
sent him discs. Yeah, I sent him discs. When he was doing DG Weekly, he was doing reviews for us. I talked to him, said, man, what are your thoughts on moving to Emporia and coming to doing this full time? And after a while, he was like, he moved out here. He met his now wife. And to see that happen to him, it tore me up inside. So I never got mad, but I just was very disappointed that it lost the direction that we had it going.
Right. Well, I'm sure you could see like all the potential that brand had and still has. I mean, you guys are doing all these really cool things, and now it feels like because there is a face that is connecting the audience to the brand. I definitely have noticed like a big shift aside from like obvious like you being there, even just how the brand feels, where it's like, oh, there's like this mold coming out, and I hear of like I think like one or two other molds that are like kind of coming down the pipeline, and it's just nice to see because, like you said, it was like 5 people in a basement that grew this entire thing, and I feel like that's what people really appreciated about Dynamic was just the family. Yeah, I guess dynamic is the correct word. Family dynamic of the brand, and to lose that with venture capitalists, it's nice to see it's coming back.
Yeah, and like my first week here, I got here and I visited with a lot of people just to catch up with people that had been working here when I was here before, and some new people that started after. And I really was just like, all right, just keep it real with me, give me your perspective, what happened, and they told me this different stories that happened, everything had happened. But what I would say probably 2 days in, I literally was like, did I make the right decision? Is this really, should I have done this? And then I was like, no, you're in it. You're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yes.
And then by the end of the week, as I talked to more people, I realized it's still here. The foundation is still here. The grow the sport, the reason why we all did this is still here. They just got beat up over the last couple of years, right? For whatever reason, they just got beat up. But they still have passion for their job. They still try to make decisions for the best of disc golf. And so they just didn't have anybody telling that side of the story. Everybody knew what else was happening, and no one was telling their side of the story. And so that's what became the narrative, was all the bad stuff. Now, I'm not dismissing the bad stuff. It happened, but I'm here to move forward and say, we're still here. We still want to grow the sport. We still want you part of our journey. I just happen to be a guy that knows how to tell that story via social media.
I mean, that's very exciting. Yeah, Josh, I'll let you speak on that in a second. But I think my big takeaway with you saying all that stuff was like you had started back up and you were like, did I make the right decision? And I think that sort of transparency is what a lot of people would appreciate, because it's easy to not be directly connected to something and be like, dude, look how that worked out. That's super cool. But it's hard to communicate that in the moment, like you being that person, being like, I don't know, you just keep sending it and hoping that things work and you do your best. And so again, I think a lot of people will appreciate you saying that, and they're like, dude, this guy, he's been out here doing it forever, and like he feels this way. It's like I should send it. And like I'm sure you get messages of other people that are like, watching the thing that you did that inspired me to start recording and doing this stuff. And I mean, since we're on that, do you have like any direct things that like examples of people saying that to you? Like I know I mentioned Foundation before, but I'm sure there's even others.
Yeah, I've had DMs sent to me where they were excited that I was back, and they would tell me their story about how they just discovered disc golf and they started listening to Disc Golf Answer Man, and we answered a question for them, and that ignited their passion to keep growing and keep getting better at disc golf. And then even some people, there was a guy just recently, Charles in Disc Golf Pro Tour, walked right up to me immediately and said, Bobby, I heard you were back. I just want you to tell, I know I'm nothing to you, but you are the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing in disc golf today, because I loved what you did with content and creation, and it's what I want to do.
Charles McCracken?
He's pretty tall guy. He's like the communications. He's the communications manager for Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Yeah. I think he's the guy that I've interacted with as well. That's crazy.
Yeah, and so
that's awesome.
That warmed my heart. It's just amazing, because to be able to do something that I love and I'm passionate about, and then because I know I was inspired by YouTubers that I watched, it inspired me. So to be that inspiration was really cool.
Yeah, that's why we do it, right?
Yeah, it's fun. Now I will tell you, on the flip side, it's exciting to hear that, and it's exciting to have people say, I can't wait to see what you do, but talk about the pressure, because now I've got to now I've got to follow through. Like that, after I was at the warehouse, I was nervous. I was like, I don't know how many times. I know, Jay, you said something about how you watch stuff over and over and over and over again just to make sure. I was the same way. I was literally last night at midnight watching it going, okay, wait, I'm going to cut that. I'm going to make that a little shorter. I'm going to make that just a little shorter. Make that hit that beat a little bit better. Even this morning, we're on a group that we talk to each other and we help each other out. Someone gave me advice. I was like, that's brilliant. Yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to cut it. I want to make just a little bit shorter. Like right up until the moment I hit upload on YouTube, I was making just the tiniest little edits to it, and even then I was like, oh god, is it people going to think I'm stupid? They're going to think I'm an idiot.
Regret.
It's too long, and the intro, I didn't get to the disc fast enough. Next time I'll do this, but then at some point you just got to go put it out in the world, and then they'll let you know if it worked or it didn't work, and then you just kind of learn from there and go on.
Exactly. No, I love that.
I watched the video. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Oh, Josh, do you have any pressing questions that you would like to ask?
Yes, I do.
Hit him with it.
Well, okay.
Ooh,
first of all, I wanted
to
ask. Sorry, what'd you say?
Your little co-anchor there.
Oh yes, my dog she's here. Okay. Well, here I'll ask one question first and then go back to this.
Yeah, go for it.
So while you're away for those 4 years, you said you worked with Ideo, you worked with Clash, you worked with some other brands. How was that for you? Like navigating the feelings of being with DD pretty much since its founding, being through its explosion. Like, was it weird? Like, did you have any thoughts of going back to DD, or obviously you're back there now, but during that time being with Clash, like Clash is a competing manufacturer pretty much with House of Discs. Like what were those feelings like, and how did you when I immediately left, I remember thinking, did I make the right decision? Then I thought, no, I did, because I wanted to be closer to family. And it was the first time I had ever had a panic attack. Before I left, I had a panic attack, and I thought, I've got to get back to my support system, back home to my kids and my parents and my brother and everything. And so it was the right decision. But I would say probably during that time. Now they were good to me because they gave me like a 3 months severance pay to kind of help until I got on my feet. So that was good. And I do remember when I talked to Jeremy about what was going on, that I was contemplating leaving. I remember when we finally said, okay, let's go ahead and say goodbye. We both had tears in our eyes, and we hugged each other, and we both felt it, because we both had been part of something very, very special. We had grown it. Just like you said, when I first started in 2009 part-time, they had 5 people, and then in 2014 they had just moved into the first 10,000 square foot warehouse, and then when I left, we're in this over 80,000 square foot warehouse. It was just, I knew I was part of something big, and honestly, it felt like I'd lost my identity, because it was such a big part of my identity. So it did take me a little bit to kind of
regain my focus. Thankfully, I had a good group of friends that were like, you know what you're doing, just do social media, find some disc golf people. I bet you they'll reach out to you. And once I put that message out there, everybody was like, yes, we want you to help us. And that felt good to be back into disc golf, but it still kind of missed because I was more of the behind the scenes guy, which is fine. It's, it was work I needed to get done, but I loved to be in front of the camera. I did a little bit for Wellsax, get in front of the camera. So I did miss that kind of way of doing things. With Class, it's interesting because I started just doing their social media. Then I saw they had, their plastic feels really good, and their naming convention's really awesome. They just really
super cool.
hit it with that. And so I was like, well, they make discs out of Finland. They need to grow. I'm going to help them grow. And I literally I put together a 1-year plan, a 3-year plan, and a 10-year goal where I was going to have a warehouse in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was literally going to, from my perspective and what my abilities, was going to build what I did with DD, try it again with Class discs, right? And I was all in it. But then I was trying to do just that, and I needed money, and it just wasn't sustainable. And there were other logistics that were happening that just didn't pan out. But you're right. As to your question, during that whole time, there were times I thought, man, if I would have just stayed at DD, everything would have been fine. I wonder if they'll ever reach out to me. I wonder if this, and then I would see them hire people and be like, man, should I reach out to them and tell them I'll come back? And so I kept going back and forth. But then when I would go out and play some disc golf with my kids, I'd be like, no, this is good. I made the right decision to be home and be closer to family.
Totally.
So thankfully, my job right now is a hybrid remote where I work some here and work some home, so I can still have the family time. So it's like an amazing situation that I'm in for sure.
Yeah, that is
amazing.
That is amazing that they gave you that gig. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What is it that you feel like, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but it might be nice just to like blatantly hear it. What do you feel like it is that brings you back to disc golf? Because you've stepped away in other roles, and you keep finding your way back. And I know a lot of people in this community like you being here. So why choose to come back?
It's probably the same answer that a lot of people say. It's the people, the community. It's just going back to when I went to the Northwest Disc Golf Championships in Portland. It felt like a family reunion. Just everybody saying hi, welcome back to disc golf. It just felt really good. And I knew that was going to be the reception just because people are so welcoming in the community. So it really was the community. And in an egotistical way, I love having fun on camera. I love being on camera, having fun with that type of stuff and creating. Totally. And I knew I would get that opportunity to do that. Now I did a little bit at Tulsa Shields. I was able to do that. I was in front of the camera. I became kind of the face of Tulsa Shields. So that was fun, but it wasn't quite the same freedoms that I have here to do what I want to do. So that drew me back as well. And the uniqueness of disc golf. Yeah, it's a big sport, but it's not a huge sport. I'd like it to get bigger, but I'm cool with where it's at. Of course, I want it to grow. I want to see it grow and other people enjoy it. But there's something unique about disc golf that I love when people first started. Once I got hired and like I told my fiance's brother and them, they're like, oh yeah, we were out playing the other day disc golf. We really like it. We should all go play. And it's like that little undiscovered hobby or sport that people love to do that you don't know until it gets brought up.
Yeah. Disc golf has an amazing community that's not paralleled in very many places. No. So it makes so much sense. Oh, my dog is
I would not consider myself a sport guy. Like I played them growing up a little bit, but there was some unique aspect to disc golf about, I think it's really it can be whatever you want it to be. And I'm sure that's the case for every other sport, but if you want to be by yourself, just out in the woods, like trying to connect or disconnect rather, that can be it. Or you could just be weekend warrior, trying to get, compare yourself to others, compete. I think the customizability of it is like what really drew me in. All right. Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So Bobby, I got a question for you.
Go for it.
So you pretty much started about a month ago now, right?
Oops. Yeah, I think it was May 4th or 5th when I first walked into the warehouse again.
All right. Well, congrats on 1 month, first of all.
For real.
Second of all, pretty much I'm looking at DD's YouTube right now. Looks like you've done about 4 episodes of Disc Golf Answer Man, and then about 2.5 videos that were outside of that. Is that kind of ringing true?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So you've brought back After Hours at the Warehouse. You brought back Is This Disc Right For You? What are you looking for, like, in terms of views? Like, are you kind of just trying to set a baseline right now and, like, kind of reinvigorate things? Or are you upset? Are you, like, kind of happy? Like, what are you thinking with how things are going so far?
That's actually a fantastic question, because I was doing like a report to see May versus April as far as analytics, because we all know that's a very important part of the story to help you understand what your audience wants. I knew that since it had been like literally, I think it had been 3 months, maybe longer, since a video was posted to YouTube, maybe even longer than that.
It was the celebrating 20 years.
Right.
And that's not really even a real video. Past that, it's almost a year. Like,
really?
Almost a year since. I'm looking at this. It's Disc Golf Trick Shots inside Walmart, and it says 9 months.
Okay.
And then before that, it's when the jury released, which is 11 months. And then before that, it's the Zuka cart. And so it's almost
and that's
like,
all product driven. That's all product driven.
That's what I was about to say.
That's basically ads,
It's all ads. And it's just like, oh, man. That's all the YouTube channel has turned into.
So at first, when I saw the low view numbers, I was like, man, what the heck? Then I was like, wait a minute. First of all, have some grace with yourself. It's only been a few weeks.
Yes.
And then the second thing is, like, YouTube has no idea what happened to us. We just kind of fell off. So it's very similar. It is, but it isn't. I'm not trying to be whatever, because we have 96,000 followers or subscribers. So I'm not saying we're a brand new channel. But in some sense, we are a brand new channel. We have to now teach YouTube what we're going to put out, and we're going to, and I even noticed like a dramatic dip in our subscriber count. And I was like, what the heck? People hate me, or what's the deal? But I think what it is that, people get used to what you put out. Like maybe the people only followed because of Ricky Wysocki, which is fantastic. That's cool. That's great. And as soon as they start seeing this bald-headed guy on there, they're probably like, what the heck is this? I'm done. I'm out. So I totally get it. We're giving them something different than what they're used to. So that makes sense to me. And then YouTube's got to now figure out who do they serve it to, our content. And so I expect the numbers to be low at first, and then we'll just kind of regain some traction as YouTube starts presenting it to the right people that want to watch our stuff. So like I said, I was looking at the numbers. As far as engagement across like Instagram and Facebook, we're up. Like some of it we're up 100%, 200%, which makes sense. There wasn't much of anything out there. So we're up on a lot of things. We're up on view time, watch time, view count. We're up on that. As far as subscriber count, we're like flat, which makes sense. Some people are like, I'm out. Some people, and we had some new subscribers. We just had the same amount of unsubscribers. So I'm being realistic with it, that it's almost as if I have to reintroduce myself to some of the new people in the game. They have to figure out who we are, who I am, whether they like me or not. So I'm happy. I'm happy with where we're at right now.
Yeah, I've pretty much watched every video that you've posted since being back. I didn't watch any of DD's content before you were back, so it wasn't even there. So, like we were just talking about, it was just ads, and I'm not going to watch an ad.
Right.
But yeah, I would give you a word of encouragement. Like, without posting in a year, like I believe that YouTube's all about momentum. Yeah. The times that I have kind of neglected to post on my YouTube channel for like November of last year, just had a lot of vacation, a lot of things going on. So I didn't post a full-length video or mini shorts for like 2 or 3 months. And then I got my time back and I started posting again. And I was booking it in like October and like doing had some good views and good shorts that popped off. And then when I started posting in January, it just felt like all the work I had done was gone. And it was that's 2 months of not like that is how short of an attention span people have nowadays.
Yeah.
And so with DD not posting in a year, it's like, okay, well, maybe people forgot DD was even a brand.
Right. No. I think it was still into either the third or fourth video we posted. There were comments like, "What? Bobby's back?" And I'm like, "Dude, it's been like 3 weeks."
Yeah, get with the program, guy.
Yes. Yeah. And like, in my opinion, unfortunately, subscribers is kind of a vanity metric at this point.
Yeah.
Like, people only go to their homepage and see what's recommended. So when you started posting again, with the return you didn't see coming, YouTube is gonna, they're gonna push it to like pretty much a test sample of people.
Mm-hmm.
And, some of the people that used to watch Dynamic maybe aren't on YouTube anymore. Maybe they watch other content. Like, it's just so hard to get your stuff in front of the right eyes. Especially, I was talking to Jesse at Trash Panda about this today. We are already a niche sport, and it's kind of, right now we're kind of in a dip in popularity. So for like the content creators and YouTube, like posting to YouTube, if one person isn't interested in disc golf this week that was super into it last week, like that is gonna, to YouTube, they're like, wait, they love disc golf and they're not watching this video. This video is bad.
Right.
And like, that's at least my understanding of the algorithm. And so I would just say it's gonna take time. You have to kind of prove that you're going to post consistently and that people are going to enjoy this style of content, which I really do think they will. However, I would encourage you. So on this last video, it says rolling around after hours at the warehouse. What can I find? And then the title says after hours at the warehouse. Maybe if I'm looking at that, I see that it's posted by Dynamic, but if I am just skimming and I'm a casual disc golf enjoyer, I don't know that that's Dynamic Discs Warehouse, if that makes sense.
No, yeah.
So my encouragement would be like, you're saying in the title, rolling around after hours at the warehouse, and then in the thumbnail, you also have after hours at the warehouse. One of those I would switch to say, Dynamic Discs at some point.
Maybe even have an image of the warehouse or something that says, where it says Dynamic Discs on it.
Yes, I would almost say leave the title. Well, I really like the picture of you in the thumbnail. I really like it. I think it's good. But I think you could change the thumbnail to the little box with, the super swirly awesome heists. And like, it's just the box, and maybe it says, the box said DD on it somewhere, I think, or something. And it has an arrow pointed to it, and it's like special release ? Or something like that. And then maybe if you did that, then change the title to rolling around after hours in the DD warehouse. What can I find? Or something like that, because I'm always a big encourager of, don't say the same thing in the thumbnail as you're saying in the title. Try to have something that complements it, but drives intrigue up a little bit more. So like having the same words in there, you're just telling the same thing twice. Like, people already got that from the title, or they got it from the thumbnail. If you can have something that complements it, but gives a little bit more, like, oh wait, what is this special release? What's this new DD disc? Like, or what's cool and in this box? It's like, okay, maybe I'll click on it. And then a bit like what we talked about a second ago, I think by posting more consistently, people would begin to trust to watch a DD's video. Like what we talked about when I was on your podcast, I just want people to trust that if they click on my video, they're going to get a good video. And I think that'll come with DD and like you posting on Dynamics YouTube eventually, but it's going to take time. And so, yeah, I love talking title and thumbnail. So if you
that's good. No, I like it. No, I need to learn more about that. That makes a lot of sense. And that's something that I would say probably one of my weak Weakest is that I'll get into the video, I'll edit it, I'm ready to go, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's great. I probably should have made a picture with the thumbnail, or I need to do something creative with the thumbnail. So I'm terrible about that.
I think it's an amazing video, and unfortunately, I would agree. The title and thumbnail is where it's lacking a little bit, and that would be what I would attribute to why it's not doing a little bit more views. Like, I genuinely think it could be 10, 15 if the title thumbnail was a bit more click-worthy.
Gotcha.
You know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, just
I
a
like it.
little
What
bit
else?
of
Come on,
encouragement.
teach me. No, I love it. I love learning. I told you on y'all's podcast on the comment. I'm a student in the game. I love learning and hacking. This is what this is like. I love talking this stuff.
Yeah, you saying that stuck with me a lot. Like you saying that you're a student of the game, because even like what you've mentioned in this conversation about just like little bits and pieces that you've been taking away, and you're constantly striving, and it's not just like this is what we did before and like that worked. It's kind of like, okay, let's do that, but like elevate it. Like let's see what's going on now. So that's really nice. Well, I guess as we like start to wrap up here, selfishly, I want to ask, what are some dynamic molds that you feel like people should check out? Because honestly, I've probably only thrown like felons a little bit. I'm trying to think what else that I've thrown. I mean, the fact that I'm blanking, like I want to know like which molds I should check out in general, or ones that you.
Well, what kind of what level will throw? Like you throw like really stable, overstable stuff, or?
Well, I did say it was selfishly, but I guess just to like for listeners in general, like a mass audience, like discs that anyone should check out.
If you are like new and you maybe have one or two molds and you're like, okay, I want to check out more of the molds, I would definitely, some of the tried and true ones, which is the Trespass, is just a great overall, I wouldn't say overstable, but probably a more stable disc. For me, I'm throwing it when there's a little bit of wind. The one I really love, though, that unfortunately we don't make anymore, but that we may be coming back out with it, is the Renegade. Oh, that disc is money for people like me. So good, so good. I love that disc. And then I would say the Truth, of course. The Truth and the EMAC Truth are just great utility type discs. The Judge is like at one time it was the People's Choice #1 putter. So if you haven't tried it yet, I would definitely give it a try.
Warden's better.
Here we go. We're starting. Let's do it. We're going to come out with our team one, team Warden, team Judge. I'm actually team Deputy. I like the Deputy. I like its understability.
Oh.
Yeah, so nice straight flyer for me. The Vandal is another one that I don't know how many times I throw it and go, why am I not throwing this Vandal more often? I get sneaky distance with the Vandal, and for someone that's my level, when you get a little bit of sneaky distance, you freaking want to have a little party.
Take it and run.
Yes. Yes, it's so awesome. So I would say those are the big ones. Now coming out for the Heist is a good one for if you have like an advanced arm or a little bit stronger, bigger arm. But for throwers like me, the Treason and the Motive are coming out, and Eric was like, "Wait till you throw one of these. These are so nice for people like you." So I'm anxious to get out and make some content around that. So I'd say the Treason and Motive.
I got sent.
Did you get one?
I got sent a 148 gram Motive.
What?
Like,
dude, I need that.
It is the most fun disc I have thrown in the last year or so.
Dude, and that's what disc golf needs to be right now. I feel like more than ever. It's just like fun discs.
No, yes. I literally throw it like this, aimed to like the left side of the fairway, and it'll just shoo, and it is amazing.
Which means it's probably going to fly nice and straight for me, which is fantastic.
Well, first of all, it's a Neg 3-1 disc, and then second of all, it's lightweight, and then third of all, I can throw about 400, sometimes pushing 450, and I have a little bit of distance, and so it's a blast. The thing that stinks about it that I'm so upset about is I got it about a month ago, maybe like a little while ago, and thank you to Eric. I think Eric set it up.
Yeah.
I think it was before you were back.
Yeah.
And I have tried to get a clip with it 15 or 20 times, and every time I try to film with it, I either throw like the most perfect shot ever and it just nicks a tree right at the end and just completely ruins the clip, or I just like undercommit and it like I don't throw it quite hard enough. I think I posted it to my story once, but I just want a clip where I throw it like crazy steep hyzer and it just turns over and just goes. My dream ace is to throw something like this disc and it just like be burning over and just smash chains. And so
That would be awesome.
Every time I've been on like a 150, 200-foot hole, I throw it full force on like a hyzer angle, like directly at the basket with just the goal of like absolutely ripping one on like a hyzer flip into the chains. But hasn't happened yet. I'll get it one day. Send me, if you have more of those, send me a stack of them.
Send you some? Okay.
I will just sit on a hole until I hit a crazy ace with it because it's a fun one.
That's
amazing.
awesome.
Bobby, any closing thoughts or things that maybe we should have covered or anything that you'd like to share?
The one thing I would say is that I'm excited to be back. I thank you so much to the disc golf community for welcoming me back. But most of all, I'm excited to continually tell the story of what's happening here with the people that work here at Dynamic Discs, at House of Discs, because even though they're not on camera, even though you don't hear much from them, you know, the things that were said about us, it hurt them because it's them. But they still love the sport, and they come in every day and work hard for the passion of the sport because they love the sport and they love the people. I'm just happen to be the one that's on camera and telling you guys about it, but they're still here. And so I'm happy and excited to be able to continually tell that story, continually to share our journey. You know, make sure you follow us. I'd love a follow, obviously. And, you know, I've got some plans for some bringing back some old stuff to see how they work and then trying to work on some new stuff to have some fun. And that, to me, yeah, that's the biggest thing is the fun of it all, just having fun with it. And yeah, so I'm just excited. I'm just pumped.
That's huge.
Yeah, we're grateful to have you back. I do have 2 questions. I have 2 more questions.
Bring it.
Cool Daddy Slick Breeze. Where has it come from?
You never heard it before? So it was so weird that when I wanted to do disc golf, or no, I wanted to do media. I was looking into real estate media. I was looking into different things. I was going to do like just adventure vlogs or something. I want to do something, but I was like, I need to come up with a company. And I came up with different names. I was even going to be, I remember it's Tri-B Productions. Tri-B because of, interesting enough about the trilogy, you know, because I'm a man of faith, and so I believed in the trilogy, or the Trinity, but I was thinking the Tri-B, so I thought that would be in there. And then I came up with some different names, and then it popped in my head. I remember back in high school, we were in class and there was a substitute teacher, which we all know what happens. You don't do any work, you watch a movie. And so me and a couple guys were just sitting around, just, you know, being dudes, being stupid, trash talking and stuff like that. And somebody said something, and then I said something, and then someone said, "What are you, some kind of cool daddy slick breeze?" And we all like went, "What the, okay, dude." And then never thought about it until I was trying to figure out a name. And I thought, you know what? I bet you no one has the .com for CoolDaddySlickBreeze.com. Sure enough, no one did. And I thought, that's it. I'm going to be Cool Daddy Slick Breeze, and I'm going to produce such great stuff that people are going to be, I want to be in a Cool Daddy Slick Breeze video. And it's always stuck. Now, I've been called everything from Cool Breeze, Slick Daddy, Cool Slick, everything. But yeah, it's kind of stuck. And then there are times where like, man, that's the goofiest name. Why do I keep it? And then when I'm out and about at an event, people go, "What's up, Cool Daddy?" I'm like, okay, yeah, this is cool. I like it. So that's the origin of the name.
Oh, I love it. I think things like that might feel cringe until they're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, oh, heck yeah, dude, that's who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see a stamp of a guy like he's like on a surfboard and he's got like flowing hair and he just looks so cool, and it's cool. It says Cool Daddy Slick Breeze.
Well, the flowing hair, it's definitely not going to be me on that stamp. So
True, I guess. I don't know.
Flowing
I guess that
beard.
wouldn't be true.
maybe
to you.
AI can help me with something like that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, second question, and then we'll wrap up. I'm trying to think of like ideas of videos that you should film. And so, have you ever played like tournaments or anything? Like,
I played in a couple of
rounds?
tournaments. Yeah.
What are you rated?
I think like 8 something, like mid 8s or something like that.
So Dynamic gets exemptions to tournaments, right? Like
Go on.
they can send people to like a professional tournament. Could you like, I don't know, convince them to give you a spot and you make a video called "I'm the lowest rated player to ever be on the Pro Tour" or
Be on the
something
Pro
like
Tour.
that?
I could. I'm thinking about that. That's what I had something similar to that. I was going to be like have people tell me what discs I should try, tell people how to make how to. I wanted people to teach me to play better so that I can play in a professional tournament.
Yeah.
That was going to be a storyline I was thinking about. So maybe that could be something where actually go through with it and actually play in the event and see what happens. I think that would be fun.
You could make it like the grand finale or
Yeah,
something.
that could be the
Like-
grand finale.
Like do a series where it's like 5 videos with 5 pros, like maybe y'all's touring pros teach you how to throw a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then the grand finale is you use one of Dynamic's exemptions at some big event and you're like the title, I just feel like the title of the video that's "I'm the lowest rated player to ever play on the Pro Tour" or something like that would just go so hard. Like
I
just
think that would be awesome.
that and it would just be such a good video. Like there'd be no expectations.
Eric
and
is your
it would
caddy?
just be a fun time. Yeah.
Eric's my caddy. That would be fantastic.
Oh, dude, that would be. I would love that video. I want you to do it so bad.
Okay, I'll look into that. I'll look into that for sure. That'll be awesome.
That's awesome. Well, on that note, Bobby, it really was a pleasure to hear everything that you had to say, and like you've been doing this for a while, and I think to be able to pick your brain was really nice. I think the disc golf world is better with you in it, as well as honestly Dynamics. It's just like it's an entire company that it's better. Disc golf is better when Dynamics going on as well.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, thank you.
And I want to say thank you to you guys because I've told the story over and over again, and it's absolutely true that when the idea of coming back to dynamic disc was happening, I was like, okay, I got to figure out what's going on in disc golf media. So I just like did a deep dive in YouTube, and I came across y'all's videos, and it encouraged me because I was like, yes, there are still people out there creating content with disc golf, and they're doing it good. They're doing a good job. They're making quality stuff. And it got me pumped. It got me super pumped that there's still quality disc golf content out there. And you guys are inspiring me to up my game. I mean, I'm talking like yeah, when I'm working my after hours video, I'm like, okay, how would Jay Milley do it? How would this guy do it? How did this, how did another round put out their stuff? What are they putting out on their Instagram? What are they? So, not in a competitive type way, but more of like, how do I get some of that magic sauce I'm seeing out there other people doing? How do I bring that to dynamic disc? So I want to thank you guys for being the inspiration for me to be excited about creating content.
No, that's super cool. Thank you. No, I mean, I'm sure we speak for Ben as well. Like that means a lot.
That dude's crazy.
Without a doubt. I mean, just roast him while he's not here.
I talked to him in Portland. That boy will talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. It's amazing though.
Yes,
I love his
of course.
passion. But he would get tongue tied and he would lose his thought, and I would just I'd be like, slow down, dude, slow down. So no, he's awesome. I love him. I love all you guys. You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you. Yeah, we love Ben as well.
We really
of course.
appreciate it, and thanks for coming on, and thanks for being our hookup at Dynamic now.
Yeah.
Oh, here it comes. The real reason, huh? It only took you an hour talking to me to get the hookup, huh?
Yep. Now I'm just gonna be like, hey, can you send me this disc? Hey,
Yeah.
can you give me this disc? Hey, I want this disc. Can you?
As long as you're making content.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Of course.
No, I love it. Thanks,
right.
guys.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, everybody. Until next week, Funsie out.
Funsie.